The apex beast was supposed to tear him apart. It nuzzled into his chest like a lost kubda. Warning klaxons screamed through the research station's corridors, each pulse of red light painting the sterile white walls in blood. Matthew's hands trembled as he sealed the final airlock, his breath fogging in the suddenly frigid air. Behind him, through 6 inches of reinforced plasteel, he could hear the scraping of claws against metal, the low rumble that seemed to vibrate through the very foundation of the station. "Matthew, get to the shuttle." Haley's voice crackled through his comm unit, desperate and strained. "It's breached Sector 7. You have maybe 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Matthew looked down at the datapad in his shaking hands, at the decades of research compressed into terabytes of information. The Kiritha apex predator of Virillion Prime had been humanity's greatest xenobiological discovery, and now it was hunting them through their own station. "I can't leave the research," he said, his voice barely steady. "Haley, this is everything we've worked for. Screw the research." Her voice broke with emotion. "I'm not losing you to that thing. I'm coming back." "No." Matthew's shout echoed in the empty corridor. "You get that shuttle prepped. That's an order, Dr. Chen." Silence. Then, quietly, ... "Damn you, Matthew." The comm went dead. Matthew turned toward the laboratory, his heart hammering against his ribs. The Kirith wasn't just any predator, standing 12 feet tall on its hind legs, covered in obsidian scales that could deflect plasma rounds, with 6 eyes that could see in 17 different spectrums, and jaws that could crush titanium. It was evolution's masterpiece of death. In the 3 months since they'd brought a juvenile specimen to the station, it had grown exponentially, and yesterday, it had killed Dr. Reeves when a power fluctuation had weakened its containment field for exactly 4.7 seconds. That was all it had needed. The scraping sounds grew closer. Matthew's fingers flew across the console, downloading the research to every backup drive he could find. Behavioral patterns, dietary and social structures observed on the planet below. The Kirith weren't just predators, they were intelligent, possibly more than humans had initially realized. That intelligence was what made them so terrifying. A deafening crash shook the station. The creature had broken through another bulkhead. Matthew could track its progress by the destruction it was hurting him. He realized with cold dread, cutting off escape routes. Hunting, he grabbed the data drives and ran toward the emergency shuttle bay, his footsteps echoing in the abandoned corridors. Behind him, that rumbling growl grew louder, more insistent. The Kirith was close now, so close he could smell it, a scent like ozone and copper and something ancient. Matthew rounded a corner and froze. It was there, standing in the corridor between him and salvation. The Kairoth's 6 eyes fixed on him, 3 on each side of its massive head, gleaming like polished onyx in the emergency lighting. Its scales shifted through colors black to deep purple to midnight blue, a display that their research had identified as hunting mode. Saliva dripped from jaws, lined with teeth as long as Matthew's forearm. "Haley," Matthew whispered into his comm, never taking his eyes off the creature. "I'm sorry." The Kirith moved, not in the explosive charge Matthew had expected, but in a slow, deliberate stalk. Each footfall was carefully placed, its muscular body low to the ground. Matthew's back hit the wall. There was nowhere to run. This was how he died. Alone, in a corridor light years from Earth, torn apart by humanity's hubris in thinking they could cage a perfect predator. But the Kirith didn't attack. It stopped 3 feet away, so close Matthew could feel the heat radiating from its scaled body. Its heads lowered, both of them, because Kirith had 2 skulls that could move independently till they were level with Matthew's face. 6 eyes studied him with an intelligence that made his breath catch. Then the creature did something impossible. It chirped, not the earth-shaking roar they'd documented, not the threatening hiss it had used before killing Dr. Reeves. A soft, almost plaintive sound that reminded Matthew of a sound file he'd heard once, a recording of Earth wolves, of pups calling for their mother. "What?" Matthew breathed. The Kairoth's massive head pressed against his chest, gently, carefully, as if afraid of breaking him. The rumbling continued, but it wasn't aggression. It was purring. The apex predator of Virillion Prime, the creature that had torn through reinforced bulkheads and plasma barriers, was nuzzling against him like a lost cub seeking comfort. Matthew's hand, moving on instinct rather than thought, touched the creature's scaled head. The Kirith leaned into the touch, and that purring intensified. "Matthew," Haley's voice exploded through the comm. "Matthew, your vitals are spiking, but you're not moving. What's happening?" Matthew's voice cracked. "I think I understand." The research flooded back. The Kirith behavioral patterns they'd observed, but never fully understood. The way the juvenile had responded to Dr. Chun's presence versus Dr. Reeves. the social structures on the planet below, where the creatures formed complex pack bonds. "It's not hunting me," Matthew said softly, his hand moving to scratch behind the creature's audio receptors. The purring grew louder. "Haley, it's scared. The power fluctuations, the alarms, we traumatized it. When it killed Reeves, that wasn't aggression, that was fear." "Matthew, you can't possibly. I'm the only one who's been speaking to it calmly through all of this," he continued, pieces falling into place, playing those audio files of Kirith's social calls, trying to understand their language. "It recognizes me. It trusts me." The Kirith, this terrifying apex predator, pressed closer, and Matthew realized it was trembling. A creature of pure, deadly efficiency, reduced to seeking comfort from the very species that had caged it. "Everyone else ran," Matthew whispered, understanding blooming in his chest like warmth. "Everyone else saw a monster. But I saw an intelligent being, didn't I, friend?" The Kairoth's response was to curl its massive body partially around him, protective and trusting in equal measure. "Haley," Matthew said, his voice stronger now, "we're not evacuating. We're going to fix this station's power grid, and we're going to do what we should have done from the beginning, which is..." Matthew looked into those 6 gleaming eyes and saw not a monster, but a scared juvenile who'd been ripped from everything it knew. "We're going to take it home." 3 weeks later, Dr. Matthew Torres and Dr. Haley Chen submitted their revised research to the Terran Xenobiological Council. Their findings revolutionized humanity's approach to alien species. Apex predators weren't challenges to be conquered, but intelligent beings to be understood. The Kiroth returned to Virillion Prime, became humanity's first successful diplomatic contact with a non-verbal species. And sometimes, late at night, Matthew still felt the phantom weight of that massive head against his chest, purring like thunder, and he smiled.